Welcome to the Brock of the Buzzard podcast. I'm your host, Brock Kowalski. As you can see, we're doing it old school for this episode. As you can see, the green screen is in the background. But this episode is long overdue as I took a long laugh for a multitude of reasons. But I got good news for y'all as the podcast is back, bigger, longer than ever before. What are we going to be covering moving forward on the Brock of the Buzzard podcast? The newest addition to the podcast that will lead off the show is the upstart Buffalo Sabres. Of course, the Buffalo Bills. Of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, the Philadelphia Phillies. And we're also adding young, rising NASCAR star Carson Hocevar and Spire Motorsports, along with your usual special coverages, including WrestleMania 42 in April and the Indianapolis 500 in May. With that all said, hope you all enjoy the show, and let's get right to it, as this is going to be a very long episode. Let's start with the newest addition to the show, the Buffalo Sabres. Expectations for the Sabres after the Olympic break. Currently, the Buffalo Sabres are first in the Eastern Conference wildcard chase with a record of 32-19-6, which is a total of 70 points. And they are 5 points clear of the drop zone, which is the Columbus Blue Jackets as it stands. The first expectation for the Buffalo Sabres after the Olympic break is to simply keep getting points. Because before the break, the Sabres were in the final Atlantic Division playoff spot, and they dropped a few games, or should I say they lost out on a couple of points, and they kind of limped into the Olympic break, and injuries played a major part in that. More on that in just a moment. But it's simple. The Sabres just have to keep mounting points, wins, OT losses, etc. And the Buffalo Sabres can't afford to have zeros within their point column moving forward, and they have a lot of road tests coming up as they've played a good chunk of their home games already this season. The second is getting healthy. In fact, the Sabres are getting healthy as we speak, as of, I believe, yesterday, the entire team practiced, besides Zach Benson, Tage Thompson, who is in Italy and got hurt in the third period of the semifinal matchup against Slovakia, I believe. And he missed the entire third period, but the injury is not believed to be serious, and he does plan on playing tomorrow morning in the gold medal game at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Also, Rasmus Dahlin obviously did not practice. He was in Italy as well with Sweden. They lost, and Dahlin looks to be walking out of there healthy as well, so he should be back with the team in short order. The guys that were out before the break include Josh Norris, Josh Doan, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, all return to practice this week. The only one who has yet to practice is Zach Benson, and we really don't have any update on him as we move forward. Also, another expectation I have for the Buffalo Sabres is to make a deal at the trade deadline. Who should the Sabres look for? A depth forward who can win faceoffs, who can score dirty goals, who's physical, etc. That's what the Sabres need on the Ford or in the Ford room right now, and it's pretty apparent if you've watched the Sabres for the past month or so. And the second must at the trade deadline, which is just a few weeks away here, is a sixth defenseman for Michael Kesselring, who has yet to find his footing in Buffalo since being acquired in the J.J. Peterka deal with the Seattle Kraken because of injury, more or less. So the Buffalo Sabres need to add another defenseman. It's not Metza. It's not Jacob Bryson. It's somebody else. I think that is the top priority for the Buffalo Sabres as we move in toward trade season. And how do I feel about this team moving forward? Overall, if they're healthy, they are dangerous. They've shown that already to the NHL, and the NHL should be very fearful of this team coming out of the break, especially because they are finally almost fully healthy and whole for one of the first times this entire season. Also, I think the 2-week period off, especially for all the young guys that have been playing as of late, is very good as well. They get to recharge their battery. They get to watch film. They get to learn how to be better moving forward. And I think this Olympic break, as you saw in particular in Tampa and home against Pittsburgh, the final game before the break, the Sabres looked very sluggish going in, and I think this break came at a perfect time for the Buffalo Sabres, and they're still sitting in a good spot despite struggling the last couple of games before the break. In fact, their next game is next week, Wednesday, against the New Jersey Devils in New Jersey on February 25th. Now on to the Buffalo Bills. And in my opinion, the Bills have impressed since firing Sean McDermott. At first, I was not happy with the Bills firing Sean McDermott. In particular, the presser that followed, especially with owner Terry Pegula, was a flat-out joke. And it just is what it is, and a lot of people feel this way. I don't think he should ever speak in front of the media again. And when the Buffalo Bills hired Joe Brady, I was like, great. We took the easy way out. Yeah, wonderful. But his meaning Joe Brady's presser for me changed everything. As they introduce head coach Joe Brady and the chief operating officer of the Buffalo Bills, as Brandon Beane likes to call it, his energy was contagious on that day. You could feel it through the TV as you're watching the press conference. His emotions were awesome. To have another guy care as much about this little city as much as Sean McDermott did, but show a little more emotion, was great to see, as Brady about cried on multiple occasions, talking about the city of Buffalo and his players in particular. And the coaching cycle then started for the Bills, and they've made some great hires. Who are they? Pete Carmichael Jr. as your offensive coordinator. He worked under Sean Payton forever. Obviously, the ties between Joe Brady and Carmichael are there based on that relationship, as Joe Brady really got his first big break in the NFL with Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints. The second also came from Sean Payton's staff, this time in Denver, which is the Denver Broncos, I believe, passing coordinator on defense, Jim Leonhard, who also played for the Buffalo Bills many moons ago. So, and I say this is a good hire because Denver's defense has been elite the last several seasons. In particular, the last two under Sean Payton, and who was in charge of the pass game plan defensively for them the last two seasons, it was, in fact, Jim Leonhard. As the team rounded out their coaches, all of the assistants, the Buffalo Bills decided to keep running backs coach Kelly Skipper, tight ends coach Rob Boris, and I didn't know there was one more. I just can't think of it right now. It's not in my notes. It should be, but it's not. But the name that pops off the screen almost immediately when you saw the full list come out late last week, and or should I say late this past week, was John Fox. And people may think, oh, John Fox, he wasn't successful as a head coach, la, 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 la. He's going to help Joe Brady figure out the little things, the little nuances of being a head coach. It could range from how to hold team meetings, when to practice, when to not, etc., etc. Every rookie head coach needs a veteran head coach on their staff, and I like the addition of John Fox in that role for the Buffalo Bills, as he is the oldest coach on this staff that is really young on paper, and I think that's going to really breathe some life into that Buffalo Bills building on One Bills Drive. On a sour note, though, on Wednesday it was revealed that the Buffalo Bills owe $30 million in dead cap space to the following players: Matt Milano, Joey Bosa, Connor McGovern, Daquan Jones, and AJ Epinesa. That ranks 10th worst in the NFL. And this is really bad considering the Kansas City Chiefs earlier this week restructured Patrick Mahomes' ridiculous contract, and that opened nearly $30 million of cap space for the Kansas City Chiefs. And also, to conclude the Bills news for this episode and this week, the Buffalo Bills made their first signing of the offseason, re-signing offensive lineman Alec Anderson to a one-year, $3 million extension. This is vital to the Buffalo Bills as they are probably going to lose both Connor McGovern and David Edwards in free agency. If the Bills can get one, that would be a small miracle. But considering the Buffalo Bills have had one of the best offensive lines in the last 2 to 3 years since this unit has been together, I expect Edwards and McGovern to get paid, and paid very handsomely as they hit the open market next month. Thirdly, let's discuss the Oklahoma City Thunder. Are the Oklahoma City Thunder in trouble? As the All-Star break comes to a close, fans are asking the question that I just asked. Are the defending champion are the defending NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder in trouble despite leading the Western Conference with now a 43-14 record, 3 full games clear of the San Antonio Spurs? And I can see why NBA fans are asking that question, as the Thunder's top 3 ball handlers are out due to injury. Who are they? Of course, NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 2025 All-Star Jalen Williams. And Most Improved Player candidate AJ Mitchell. In fact, the Thunder announced on Thursday evening that Mitchell and SGA will be reevaluated in 1 week from their abdominal strains, and Jalen Williams will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, dealing with a hamstring strain once again. But to answer that question, are the Thunder in trouble? I say no on one condition. And that condition is the Thunder need to get healthy by the start of April, so that the Thunder, who have not been healthy and whole this entire season, get that chemistry up and back to where it was when they won the NBA title last year. In fact, I believe that was one of the leading factors on why they won an NBA championship, because they were, pretty much healthy the entire season. I'm talking about the SGAs, the Jalen Williamses, etc. were healthy the majority of the season. They were able to develop a chemistry, even though a guy here and there, a.k.a. Isaiah Hartenstein, missed the start of last year, and Chet Holmgren missed 50-plus games after fracturing his hip. But they were able to fit back into the Thunder rotation seamlessly because this team had chemistry with each other already. And that's something they really haven't had the opportunity to build this entire season because of injury. And the Thunder have a ton of road tests coming up. Those road tests include Toronto on Tuesday, Cleveland tomorrow, Detroit, and then they come back home and face the Denver Nuggets, who are getting healthier as we speak. So the Thunder will really have to be on their A game, as they got a layup last night schedule-wise, facing the Brooklyn Nets, who are anemically bad at home off an All-Star break. And of course, a guy goes down with an injury. Alex Caruso left last night's game early with an apparent injury. I'm not sure what it was. I didn't have a chance to look it up, so forgive me, but I just know he left with an injury, so hopefully he plays tomorrow in Cleveland. Now let's go on to our fourth category here this evening, or whenever you see this podcast. Baseball is back. The Philadelphia Phillies open spring training in Clearwater this weekend. So since I really haven't done this yet, let's fill you all in on what the Phillies did this offseason. The Phillies were able to re-sign designated hitter Kyle Schwarber to a 5-year, $150 million deal. Obviously a must for the Phils following his MVP-like season last year and his integral part in that clubhouse. They were also able to re-sign catcher JT Realmuto to a 3-year, $45 million contract. And while keeping the rights of the following players: Alec Bohm, Edmundo Sosa, Johan Duran, among many others. The Phillies also added former Cubs right-handed pitcher out of the bullpen Brad Keller to a 2-year, $22 million contract, improving the back end of that bullpen despite losing the services of left-handed pitcher Matt Strahm to the Kansas City Royals via trade. Now, the back end of the Phillies bullpen includes Duran, Jose Alvarado, Orion Kerkering, and the new addition, Keller. The Phillies also added outfielder Adolis Garcia to a 1-year, $10 million deal to fill the void left by both Max Kepler, who I still believe remains unsigned, and Nick Castellanos, who got released by the Phillies this past week, and he immediately signed with the San Diego Padres. In my opinion, though, the two biggest losses for the Phillies this offseason were Harrison Bader and Ranger Suarez. So let's go into Bader first. He signed a 2-year, $20.5 million contract with the San Francisco Giants. The Phillies are looking to two young prospects, Justin Crawford and Johan Rojas, to fill the void left by Bader. Another huge loss, as I just stated, for the NL East champs was left-handed pitcher Ranger Suarez to the Boston Red Sox, where he signed a 5-year, $130 million contract. A well-deserved contract based off of how he pitched the majority of the 2025 season. And now the Phillies are relying on Taijuan Walker and prospect Andrew Painter to hold down the back end of that rotation, especially without the services of Zack Wheeler to start the season. So that's even more pressure on the two lefties in that rotation, who are Christopher Sanchez, who was, I believe, third in the NL Cy Young voting in 2025, and Jesus Luzardo, who had a phenomenal 2025 season as well. Again, as the Phillies await the reemergence of the race, Zack Wheeler, who is making tremendous progress following a blood clot-related injury in 2025. It is unknown when he will return, but I would expect May or June, somewhere in there. I don't expect him to pitch the first month of the season. And finally, we're talking about a little NASCAR to conclude the show. And I'm calling this On the Ascent with Hocevar and Spire. Why Hocevar and Spire? Spire Motorsports. Over the last 16 months, no driver and team have made a bigger splash than welcoming themselves to the front of the Cup Series field. Better than Carson Hocevar and Spire Motorsports. While ruffling feathers along the way, there's no brighter future driver and team combination in the Cup Series like Hocevar and Spire Motorsports. As Hocevar and Spire are tied at the hip through the end of the 2031 season, as a week before the Daytona 500, the team announced that they agreed to extend Carson Hocevar to a contract beyond 2030. That could mean 2031, 32, etc. They didn't say specific. They just said into 2030. I don't think it ends that year, but I could be wrong, of course. But that's here nor there, as this season I expect them to be as competitive as they've ever been. If you don't know the origin story of Spire Motorsports, they ran it basically as a start and park the first 3 to 4 years of the operation, saw the charter investments as like a franchise, which they are now. So Spire was ahead of the game when it came to that. And now, because of their uptick in competitiveness, they have not only upped the ante in terms of their partnership with the greatest NASCAR team of all time, Hendrick Motorsports, who is the top level Chevrolet team. When it comes to Hendrick Alliance teams, Spire Motorsports is in fact second in line, which they were not a couple of years ago. And then the team announced late last year that that some of the ownership Group had sold off its stake to TWG Global. That ownership group also owns the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, Andretti Autosport in IndyCar, etc. And locking up Hocevar till 2031 signals to me that not only Spire as a team, I'm talking about Jeff Dickerson and everybody that's on the shop floor every single day, but TWG also sees Carson Hocevar as the NASCAR version, or their NASCAR version, of LeBron James and Shohei Ohtani, because honestly, guys, for a 23-year-old to get a 5-year mega extension, that just doesn't happen in the sport. It just doesn't. Most drivers are based off of 2 to 3 year agreements, based on sponsorship, based on driver money, etc. But Spire said, we are locking this kid up now because we know that teams around the garage want him, and if we don't do this, we're going to lose him. So Spire decided to take that calculated risk, and a risk that has already seen fruits of its labor in the Daytona 500. Hocevar and the number 77 Spectrum Chevrolet team, yes, Spectrum, the cable company, is now a title sponsor on the number 77, had a phenomenal speed weeks in Daytona, scoring points in the duels last week Thursday and scoring points in the opening stage of the Daytona 500, which are musts, meaning scoring points whenever you possibly can, especially in this new chase format. If you have any questions about the new chase format or what stage points are, please ask below. But unfortunately, Hocevar was wrecked on the very last lap while leading, resulting in a unfortunate 18th place finish. But because he scored points in both the duels and the opening stage of the 500, he currently sits 9th with 36 total points, 22 behind the points leader Tyler Reddick. Hocevar starts 15th on Sunday because the qualifying session today in Atlanta was rained out. So they are set due to the rule book, the metric. That's too complicated. I'm not going to get into that. But the winner of last week's race, Tyler Reddick, will start on the pole tomorrow from Atlanta, and Hocevar will roll off 15th. You can catch the race at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox. That'll do it for this podcast. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. And my my social media links are in a Linktree link down below. If you can't access them, please let me know, because I want you guys to support not only the show, but my other forms of social media as well. And I'll be back very soon with the next one on this crazy edition, this jam-packed edition of the Brock and the Buzzer podcast. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend, or whenever you see this, have a great day, everybody. And like the video, share the video, and subscribe.